Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to teach you how to paint some fall trees. So let's do it.
Okay, so to start, I'm just going to go through my materials. I have my B watercolor paper today, my Winsor Newton Cotman watercolors, and my Princeton snap brushes in a size 10 and a size, let's do a 2. Nope, a 4. I lied. Okay, and my paper towel, my water, and we're ready to go. So I'm going to show you how to do a few different types of fall trees. It's not going to be too much detail, just really easy, but it could be really cute for a card or just like a scenery. But I'm just going to show you how to do the trees. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our smaller brush. I'm going to grab some brown and I'm just going to lay down the tree trunk. So I'm just going to do a small little tree trunk here, like that. You can color it in and do maybe some roots at the bottom, like that. And we will go over and make it more defined later. And then you are just going to do some branches, nothing crazy, nothing fancy, just a little bit like that, okay? And we're gonna add more branches in there after. I'm just gonna take my larger brush and we're gonna do a nice orange tree. And actually, no, I'm gonna start with the lightest color, which will be yellow. So I'm gonna take a nice light wash of my yellow. And if you remember or watched my other how to paint a tree video, you wanna start with the lightest color first. So I'm just going to do the shape of the tree. Go over some of those branches, you know what, leave a little bit of like white space in there so you can do some branches coming through later. Okay. Like that. I'm gonna pop some more yellow in there, especially towards the top, maybe some towards the middle. Okay, so the lightest part is kind of like where the sun hits it, and then you're gonna go in with darker color. So I'm gonna do my medium color, which is gonna be orange. I'm just gonna go underneath that yellow. Like that. And I like when you leave those little white spaces because we're gonna put some branches through there after. It looks really nice. I'm gonna go back in with my yellow, make it a bit brighter at the top. Wash some of that paint off and just make it even lighter. And this is just a really relaxed way of painting a tree. Then I'm gonna take some of my red and I'm gonna go in underneath those light highlighted areas. So maybe towards one side of the tree. So underneath, maybe on this side. So the light will be hitting from this way. So the lightest parts will be on that side and the darkest parts on this side. Like so. And then you can even take some brown too to get some more shadow, especially underneath. Okay, and then you're gonna let that dry and then we're gonna do a second layer. So I'm just gonna show you another tree, just doing different shapes. So you can do a taller one maybe. Nice long trunk. Maybe this one is just a bit longer. You can have them all connect together too. Like that. Okay. And then maybe I will put a little bit more green in this one. So I'm just gonna make it a bit more of a vertical tree. So I'm just going in with my cadmium yellow, just dabbing it. It's gonna blend into this tree. It helps too if you wanna look at real trees in your area. I always take pictures when I go out for walks with my son. Or if you wanna look on Google, search for some tree shapes. You're just kind of dabbing like that. I might add some green in there, like it's not fully turned yet. And if it mixes a bit and turns brown, that works too, because that's what happens with the leaves. Okay. I'm gonna add some yellow ochre in here. This will be a green and yellow kind of tree. I'm just using this like tapping technique, okay? Just remember it needs to be darker towards the bottom. So I might actually take some darker green. That, mix it a bit with brown, a brownish green. Wash some of that off and just spread it around like that. There is your next tree. And then we're gonna do another one. Same kind of thing, guys. It's really this simple. Maybe this one has a bigger trunk. Like it's a bit fatter and shorter. Maybe some of the branches go out a little bit further. Okay. I'm just gonna start off with that and I'll show you how I add the other branches in after. Let's do, again, kind of a yellowy orange tree. I'm just gonna go in with my lightest color first. Get that shape down. And you're just using kind of like the belly of the brush. I'm putting it on an angle. God, I love fall trees. They make me so happy, and it makes me so sad that they do not last long enough. Fall is too short. I feel like, especially where I am in Canada, it doesn't last as long as it used to. Or maybe that I'm an adult, it just seems shorter, and I love it so much. I get sad when it ends, but I feel like the leaves turn and then it's done. It like maybe lasts 2 weeks of beautiful fall colors, and then it's over. It makes me so sad. That's pretty bright. It's all good. This. Okay. Maybe a bit more brown and red, especially underneath here. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna let this dry and then we're gonna come back in and do our second layer. Okay, as you can see, it's dried and it's actually faded. So now we're gonna do a second layer on these, just kind of getting more of those leaf, not shapes, but just textures. So you're just gonna go in over top and just kind of do the same thing. You're dabbing. Dab, 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 dab. Okay, I'm going around some of those yellow areas, making it lighter as I'm up there. I still want the darkest part at the bottom underneath. And I suggest try not to like have your brush too wet. You kind of want to have that texture. Okay, my brush is a little on the drier side. And you can even like add it like going out of that area so you can get some of those smaller, am I making any sense? Probably not. Some of those smaller shapes for the leaves. That. So I'm just literally dabbing. I'm gonna grab some brown. I'm gonna dab it on my palette first to kind of just break it up. And people are probably gonna say that's really bad for your brush. And you know what? They're probably right. It's not great, but whatever, I don't care. This is how I do it, okay? Okay, I'm gonna grab some yellow. Do some similar bits at the top. Okay, just to add a bit more texture. And I might just grab some darker color and really just kind of let that color bleed in underneath some of those areas. Okay, like that. Let's move on to this green one. Same kind of thing. So I'm just gonna take my yellow, maybe a bit of orange or brown. Just gonna dab, 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 dab. I feel like some artists would be cringing at the way I'm treating my brush right now. I don't know if this is like super bad for it, but whatever. I've had these brushes for a long time too. Put them in water. They actually haven't done, they've done me well throughout the years, so I'm not too worried. Maybe not do this with like a super expensive brush, but this is not a super expensive brush, so at least where I am. Really getting that green in there. Okay. And then maybe making it a bit darker again underneath. Just gonna, instead of dabbing it, I'm gonna just drop some more of that color into those already wet spots where I dabbed. Okay, like that. Move on to the next one. Okay. Red. I feel like this tree is very similar to this one. It's fine. I meant to go for something different. Didn't work out. It's all good. Orange. Too bright. The lighter yellow bit at the top. Just using that texture from my brush to create more those like leaf shapes coming off the trees. Gonna bring some of that darkness up here, like that. And then again, I'm just gonna bring in some of that darker color and just dab it gently so the color comes off my brush into those wet areas. Okay. Darken up some of this area too with maybe a bit of red. Turns brown. Okay. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I am going to wait for it to dry, and then I'm gonna do the trunks and the detail on that. Hold on. Just wanna add a bit more color into this. Okay. Okay, so now that it's dry, we're gonna go back in and fix those trunks. I'm gonna take some darker brown, maybe a bit of black, mix it together. And I'm just gonna go over, actually I'm gonna do a light wash first and then I'm gonna go back in. Just go over the trunk that you did to make it a bit darker. Okay, and then I'm gonna go back in with the darker pigment, especially on one side. So where that darkness is on the leaves, you're gonna go darker on the trunk there too, on that side. You can add a bit of texture just by making lines. And then you're gonna bring some of those branches up and through those little white spaces that you left. Okay, you can even, like some can be in front too if you want. However you want to do this, like that. And really dark, especially underneath those leaves, because there would be a shadow being cast by the leaves, right? Okay, same thing on this one. Just gonna go over it, re-wet that area. Go back in with the dark color on that side where the shadows are. And then bring some of those branches through. Like that. And same thing for this last one. Maybe you have one that's lower, it goes over, too dark. Yeah, just bring it up through the tree. It's my bad. Through some of those lighter areas where you would see the branches. Okay. And there you go. It's honestly that easy. You can always go back and add more texture to the trees. Like that, if you want. If you want to add the ground underneath, so let's get some like green grass going. You know, you can always do the trees on your own, or you can make it into a landscape. I'm going in with my light wash first, like always. Then I'm going to go back in with my darker green. Drop it in there. And you can always add leaves too on the ground. Also, if you watched my brushes video, and I showed you how to use different brushes, what you can do, if you have that fan brush, where is it? Right here, you can always take that and just bring up the grass. So you use it, you have a wet surface and a dry fan brush, and you can just add a little bit of texture like that for the grass. Just make sure your brush is dry and then the bottom is wet. Okay, so you can always do that if you want. a bit darker under the trees. Casting a shadow. You could always do more of a shadow if you wanted to. And maybe before you do this grass, you could do a blue sky behind if you want. Here, let's just do the whole page, shall we? Wasn't planning on it, but I'm going to. So make sure your trees are dry before you do this. You don't want the color of the leaves bleeding into the sky and then have like a red or green or brown or yellow sky. Just do a light wash of the blue. I think the blue I'm using is called cobalt blue, in case y'all are wondering. I think it is, I'm not actually sure. So again, just make sure that these trees are dry before you do this. And because I'm using such a light color, it won't really go over top of the orange leaves or anything. It's a lot lighter. There you go. There is your fall tree tutorial landscape painting.
Thank you all so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram for more. Have a great day, guys. Bye. Say bye-bye.